Hey everyone, before we dive into Zen Sammich today, let me briefly tell you about another podcast. The show is called Fred's Front Porch. If you're looking for more informational and inspirational podcasts, Fred's Front Porch is one you should check out. In a way, the name says it all. It's laid back, so grab a cup of coffee and kick back. It's down to earth, but it is purposely idealistic in a way that'll leave you feeling better as opposed to a lot of stuff we see on TV these days. Fred's podcast is sharp, well-written, it's very well-edited, and best of all, it's thoroughly researched. Fred gives you the sources he's citing. I love podcasts like that. I love this one. You can find this show anywhere you get this one, Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and of course on his own site, fredsporch.info. I will link that page in the show notes. Give it a go and tell Fred that Mark from Zen Sammich told you about the show, that I sent you over there. He will love that. That's all. Now on to this episode.
You're listening to Zen Sammich, a podcast for the independent mind and anyone who embraces life despite its absurdities. Join former attorney and professor-turned-Japanese papermaker Mark Reed each week as he talks with creative, inspiring, and influential people, or as he shares his own research to help make your world a little better today than it was yesterday.
Hey, here we are. Char, short for Charlotte, Murphy, is an international best-selling, award-winning inspirational author, motivational speaker, and attorney, a 4-time breast cancer survivor, thriver, and an entrepreneur. She's been selected as Top Inspirational Author of the Year by the International Association of Top Professionals. She's the founder of Believe, Inspire with Char Murphy, a company focused on author coaching, book writing, consulting, mentoring, and motivational speaking. She wrote the international bestseller Unshakable Power and is the co-author of Power Up Superwomen, Stories of Courage and Empowerment. Her latest contribution is a chapter in the very soon to be released book, Mission Hope. We'll talk about that more in a bit. It's actually a series. It's going to be a series of 5 books, and this is the first one in the series. It's an honor and delight to have some of her time today. She joins me from Arkansas. Welcome, Char Murphy.
Thank you, Mark. I'm happy to be here.
Great.
Thank you so much.
So are you a Razorback fan since you're in Arkansas?
Oh, yes. See, I got my red on.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I want to talk about several topics. So I don't intend for the whole interview to just be about your experiences as a 4-time cancer survivor. Your story is so much more than that. I know that you were a top attorney, and but that line, when someone reads that, it obviously does catch the eye. And my mother passed a little more than 2 years ago from pancreatic cancer. And so I saw the effects of what chemo can do and what the end stages of cancer looks like up close and personal. And so I do have a couple of questions to ask about that experience before we dive into other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Can you describe the first instance, getting the diagnosis, how that felt? Shock, I'm sure. How prepared were you for something like that? And, what kind of stages of analysis and coping and grief did you go through in the beginning?
Oh, those are good questions. In the beginning, well, the answer is no. It totally came out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. I was not prepared. And the day that I got to sit down with the radiologist, I knew something was up because I'd never met with a radiologist after a mammogram before. Mm-hmm. And that when they told me that I needed to wait because the radiologist needed to speak with me, I sort of knew, but was hoping for the best.
Right.
Anyway, as we were sitting there, I can remember it like it was yesterday. And what he said to me was, he said, he told me that I had breast cancer. Mm-hmm. And he went through his thing about it first, and then said, "You have breast cancer." And I guess my eyes must have gotten as big as saucers or something,
Mhm.
because he said to me, "You look like a deer in headlights."
I'm sure it's not the first time he'd seen that look, but yeah.
Well, it really, that was really shocking. I mean, that was almost more shocking than the diagnosis at that point. The way that was treated that day.
Yeah.
It was just kind of, yeah, you're right. It wasn't the first time he'd seen it, but when you tell somebody that out of that, it's very shocking.
Of
Yes, it was.
course.
I was shocked, of course, um, and it
Uh,
affected the rest of my life.
Of course. I mean, like, I guess just heart pounding, mind racing, all those things at that moment.
Oh, of course. I mean,
Yeah.
I had no idea what I would do, whether I would be able to still practice,
Mm.
because I was a lawyer, practicing a lawyer for 15 years before that.
Mm.
And what was really interesting, Mark, was I guess it was about a week, only a week before that, I had been with a girlfriend to a luncheon where it was a fashion show where all the models had mastectomies.
Oh, wow.
And I remember, getting really teary eyed just watching them. Um, and they were all just so beautiful. And it was like, it was just surreal to a week later think that's me now.
I see.
And um, yeah. And then a year later, I was on the stage as well.
What advice would you give to someone that gets a diagnosis like that for the first time? How can someone prepare for that? Or you can't, I guess, but
Well, you really can't. You know, they tell us all kinds of things about diet and exercise and things like that that help prevent breast cancer, but really and truly, when it comes to cancer, we still don't know
right.
uh, the causes or the cures, and
But I
so
mean, psychologically,
eventually,
how can you, like, I mean, you're right. I mean, we can't predict. No one would have ever guessed. I used to call my mom the Iron Lady, like Margaret Thatcher, because I felt like she was going to live forever. She was just such a tough
right?
as nails kind of person, worked, never missed a day of work in her life. And
Mhm.
so for her to get that diagnosis, which was just, you know, jaw dropping for everyone in the family. And I guess my question is more like, is there any way to be ready for something like that, to hear that news?
Well, to be ready for it, I think it takes a strong constitution, um, and it just takes a it really takes a positive mindset.
Yeah, I'm
I
sure.
mean, if you hear it, you can't just all of a sudden think, I'm going to die,
Hmm.
that because that's not going to get you anywhere.
Right.
And if you think positively, like I did the whole time, and even though it did recur, I kept my faith.
Hmm.
I knew that somehow I knew that I would make it through that.
Hmm.
I can't even tell you how, really. I don't know. To this
Yeah.
day, I look back and think, I'm not sure how I did all that. But yeah. So to
Well, you,
answer your question, there's no easy answer to that.
yeah, I
Sorry.
know. Well, no, that's okay. I mean, that's to be expected. But not only did you get through that, you got through it four times. So when you got the second diagnosis that it's back, was it reliving those first experiences all over again, or did you feel like, okay, I beat this once, I'm gonna beat this thing again?
Yeah, even the second one was a little bit shocking. I even asked because I had become kind of an expert by then
Mhm.
on, well, let me see myself. Show me what you're looking at. Show me what you're calling cancer. Let's talk about that.
Mhm.
And I mean, I made them show me the mammogram. I mean, the pictures
Right.
and explain it all to me, which I didn't even know enough the first time to do that. Um, and
So you
so
were better educated about everything the second time around. Knew to look for those things and look at those things and ask questions. Okay.
Right. Ask questions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think
I have another friend who was diagnosed with a type of skin cancer, and his prognosis was something like 6 months to live. Get your affairs in order. See the people you need to see to say goodbye to. Make sure your will is up to date. And that was 4 years ago. He's still alive and doing well.
Yeah.
He had some money, so he did some experimental treatment stuff that insurance doesn't cover yet. But his cancer is now in complete remission. There's no evidence of it anymore. But he told me, actually, his wife told me that he does live in somewhat a state of fear, a minor state of fear, but a state of fear about it coming back. That once you have it, you're kind of always worried about it. Is that your experience too, especially 4 times?
Absolutely. It's not a fear. It doesn't live in my head all the time. I don't dwell on it because I'm a believer that what you dwell on, we create what we think. Yeah. So I don't do that. But I was told even after 4 diagnoses and everything that I went through, including the double mastectomy, after my mastectomy, my doctor told me that, it could recur in my body anytime. And that was even after the double mastectomy and all the treatment I had and everything. And I had radiation after the first go round with it, and it didn't phase it. So I did a lot of alternative treatments as well. I mean, all kinds of things. And really that's what started me on my spiritual path. What was, connecting with source energy through that.
There's a quote on your site, choose to look for the light in everything.
Yes.
In what way or ways was there a positive takeaway, a new appreciation for life, I suppose? Tell us in your words how having cancer and beating it 4 times changed you for the better.
Well, yeah. And one of my other sayings is, breast cancer saved my life. And that's because, and you well know too, as a lawyer and being under that kind of stress, and I do believe stress is a major contributor to cancer and all other diseases as well, actually. I was under a lot of stress with my own law firm, and I had 10 employees and that was back in the early 2000s, and my overhead back then was 40 grand a month.
Wow.
And so I basically couldn't keep all the balls in the air anymore. So yeah, I mean, it allowed me to be where I am now, which is truly living my passion and purpose.
Nice.
And that is something that I teach, is that exactly what you said. You find the gift in everything, or the light and everything.
The light, yeah, and everything.
Yeah.
I walked away from law practice after about 10 years, and I started as a prosecutor, a criminal attorney, and I moved to a big firm in Birmingham and into civil litigation, working in securities law, and I walked away because of the toil it was taking on my health, the stress level. It's the most money I ever made in my life, but it might also be the most miserable I ever was. I had money in the bank, but it was like, what's this for? I'm killing myself. It doesn't matter how much money I got in the bank if I'm in a coffin in the ground, so I just away.
Exactly. And I tried. I mean, I did try, because I own my own office buildings, everything, and I lost my home, and because, I couldn't keep making that kind of money.
Yeah.
Like you say, and, but now here we are doing what we were supposed to do.
Yeah. I'm happier now than I've ever been. And I can tell you are as well. Well, let's talk about the book. It's called the latest book called Mission Hope. Other than what's revealed by the title itself, tell us what the essential premise is of the book and I guess of the series, and about some of the authors or what experiences they write about.
Mm-hmm. Well, this was divinely inspired. This. I had no idea that I would be putting together a book with 18 authors.
Hmm.
But it was one of those things where I'm sure you've had similar experiences where kind of get that little tap on the shoulder or a little bug in your ear. Says, "Hey, are you ready for this?" And
All the
I was
time.
like, sure. And so, and I said, just bring the right people at the right time. That was my prayer.
Hmm.
And that's exactly what happened. And it's amazing because the synergy in this group of authors is, well, they all have stories of overcoming adversity
Hmm.
and having it lead to something better and better in their life.
Hmm.
Every single one of them. Now, and 18 stories, 18 chapters are all completely different.
I'm
They're
sure.
all different stories in every aspect you can possibly imagine, but they all had hope. They all
Hmm.
had hope. That's what they started with. And yeah, so
Yeah.
that's really how it came about. And then I also just again was inspired to do the series of the follow-up books.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I was
that's
going to
what.
ask you about that. I love the idea of the first one, hope, because most of us, I want to say all of us, maybe not all of us, but most people can look back and see a rock bottom point at some point in their life, whether it's a cancer diagnosis or whether
Mm-hmm,
through their own bad behavior or whatever. But we all at some point, or most of us, hit a kind of rock bottom. And
mm-hmm.
I've had my share, and it is hope that gets you through and keeps you fighting and
Yes,
clawing your way out, of that bad situation,
exactly.
and
It
often or making yourself even better off than you were before it all fell apart or whatever.
exactly, and that you discovered that so beautifully, um, because that's the premise right
That is.
there. Is that we think when we think we have, you know, lost it all and that it couldn't get any worse. Um, we find hope. We
Yeah.
find somehow we find that hope just to
Yeah.
hang on and to
Yeah.
keep fighting and hope for the best.
What will the next it's a series of 5, right? What are the next
Correct.
potential titles or themes?
Um, Finding faith.
Okay.
So that one would be obviously tied into how did your it's really hope and faith kind of
Sure.
a thing, where those both play together. Um, and then uh, faith, love, joy, and gratitude.
Hmm. Nice.
Faith, hope, love, gratitude,
Okay.
joy, gratitude. Sorry.
Well, no, those are all excellent topics, and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we could have. I'll have you back. We'll do 5 of these. Uh,
Okay, great. That's
yeah.
awesome.
So how can folks find out more about you? Where can they buy the book? You've got a website, believeinspire.us, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And you offer services there, book publishing, writing, consultation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I'll link that stuff in the notes. And I assume people will be able to buy Mission Hope on Amazon.
Yes. And probably some other platforms too that will be, shared by all the authors. And I just encourage everyone listening to um, look for your favorite author, look for your because they've been out on social media and LinkedIn and Facebook and talking about it, not really talking about their chapters so much as why they did it, what inspired them to do it, and they all just are brilliant. So
I recognize I recognize a few of the names. In fact, there's one IPEC that I want to. Yeah, EPEC. I knew I'd mispronounce it, but she's been on my radar for a while. As someone I want to have on the show, and
yes,
I listened to her. I use she's a voice or a guided. She leads a guided meditation or several on in Timer, I think. And I've
Timer.
Yes, I've like listened to her, and I'm like, I need to get her on the show, and so she's probably coming up on a future episode as well.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. Well, folks, that will do it. When it comes out, it may be out by the time this is published, or it should be around the time that this episode comes out. Go by Mission Hope. Do that first, and then after you do that, or while you're waiting for it to come out, if you got $3, you can support this show at patreon.com/Zen Sammich, or just make a one-time donation of any amount that suits your budget through Red Circle or PayPal. With Red Circle, you can just click a button, and for PayPal, all you need is the show's email address. That's all you need for PayPal, and that is zensammich@gmail.com. All that stuff will be in the notes if you want to help out the show, but go buy Mission Hope first. We can all use the support. Char, you're a fascinating person. It is such an honor.
Thank you so much.
I've wanted to have you on for a long time, and we couldn't ever make it work with our schedule, so I'm so glad we finally did.
Me too.
Yeah, it's an honor and pleasure. You're an inspiration, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. I'm honored.
What if I told you that you can support your blood pressure and healthy CoQ10 levels with 2 chews a day? The new Super Beats Heart Chews Advanced is now supercharged with CoQ10. That's like getting CoQ10 for free. Our powerful blend of beetroot, grapeseed extract, and CoQ10 supports your cardiovascular health. Visit radiobeats.com and find out how you can get a free 30-day supply on bundles and save 15% with the promo code DEAL.